Madam Sanitizer. So, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great.
Just trying to get used to the new normal,
Yeah.
where there's not hardly traffic really, and I realize there's a tendency to speed because of the way it is flowing. But we want to remind you that your lives are still very much important. There were things we were battling with before coronavirus, and there are things that we still continue to battle with. So our Arrive Alive campaign is definitely on. We want you to cherish your life and drive carefully. Remember to wear those seat belts and just drive defensively, even though it's usually free flowing. You know what
That's
I mean?
true, but you get to find that, especially today too, because it is Friday, based on what the observations from me are during the week, that by the time it's the afternoon period, we have some level of traffic or pockets of traffic, either going to Central Business District or some other places. It means that offices or companies or startup companies, for example, perhaps are not encouraging their workers to work from home, and they need to do so. Well, not necessarily.
Not everybody can work from home.
Yeah, no, we do understand
Not
that.
everybody can
And
work from home.
because we've come to a point where movements will create a certain situation and apprehension for those who are managing the cases that we have. Yeah, and we need to be more responsible and accommodating to complement what the state authorities are doing. So we restrict ourselves. And if you can tell that boss that, look, I can do this tax from here, and that person can listen to you, I think you should be in a position.
Yeah, I think the advice is if you can, if it's possible, what you do, if it can be done elsewhere apart from coming into town, like we say, then yes. But definitely if you cannot, I mean, a lot of us are still working from our offices, is the precautions that you have to take. Protect yourself as if the next person sitting right there has the virus. That's what we are saying. So let's do the newspapers. We will be going to Kumasi, the Ashanti regional capital, where an exercise is taking place to disinfect markets there in response to the outbreak of the coronavirus. So our colleagues are on standby in Kumasi. We will touch base with them in the course of our programming this morning so they can give us updates of what's happening there in Kumasi. But I'll do the Daily Graphic newspaper, beginning of the review. Front page of the Daily Graphic, lockdown effects on citizens can't be ignored. So there's a lot of pressure on the president because there are various groups calling for a lockdown. And that's because of what we've witnessed in other countries. South Africa, effectively from midnight, and they are 2 hours ahead of us, they are in lockdown. It's only essential services. You can go out to the pharmacy, you can go out to buy food, for instance, you can go out to the hospital. There's only things that are essential that you can go out there to do. Otherwise, the military is out there ensuring that that directive is complied with. So there are a lot of people doing partial lockdown and things like that. And people are looking at those situations and saying, look here, Ghana, it is time to lock down. But the president is reminded that there are many other people who may suffer as a result. So he's critically looking at the situation whilst listening to others make their case. So that's what the story is about. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, the headline is there with details. Also, partisan politics can wait. COVID-19, the enemy. That's according to government. And I like the headline. Partisan politics can wait. 808 prisoners granted amnesty in the midst of COVID-19. This news came out yesterday. And Kumasi residents stock up food ahead of market disinfection today. That's exactly what we did last weekend, particularly on Saturday, because the exercise happened on Monday. In Kumasi is happening today. So we will check out, we will bring you videos and pictures of the situation in Kumasi. On the back page of the paper, though, Presby Church supports frontline workers fighting COVID-19, and it's a big ups to the Presbyterian Church who have taken up the responsibility to take care of health workers. at this crucial time. So the church has begun the provision of food for frontline health workers working in connection with the COVID-19 pandemic at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Tema General Hospital, and the Ga East Municipal Assembly. The church is to provide lunch every day for 300 medical workers at the 3 designated health centers managing COVID-19 cases in the country for the next 7 days. We talk about leadership, and it's staring you right there in the face. The Presbyterian Church offering to provide food for some 300 frontline workers in 3 crucial health institutions because of COVID-19. It takes a bit of the pressure from them, and we hope that other people would follow. There are many others also making donations, and I read a story on radio this morning at 6 about Senor Hossi and his wife also making a donation, and they decided to make it public. Their donation went to the 37 military hospital. They decided to make it public to encourage other Ghanaians to also donate. Do so. Yeah. So, you know, especially the facilities that have been mentioned over the period, people will definitely want to go to them. So if we
I think where they can also get some help or would need some help is the Tema General Hospital.
Exactly.
The Rich is also there. Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
So the Presby Church's Tema General Hospital is one of the hospitals that they are making lunch available to. Am I correct? Yeah,
I know for Tema, for example, they'll need a lot of the PPEs, the masks, and all that, the gloves, because you need to constantly be changing them, and they'll need it at every section of the hospital, OPD, emergency.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do the front page of the Finder, lockdown impacts and the scrutiny. Ordinary people and working class in focus, according to the president. It comes back to what I did say when I was looking at the stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper about what the president is looking at, the considerations, the reminders, and the appeals all coming together. But that's why he's the president, right? You in times like these, we criticize, we make a lot of criticisms, like, you know, but in times like this, you don't want to be the president. You don't. Dr. Awal supports 7 constituencies and fights to fight COVID-19. CBG commits 1 million Ghana cedis to support COVID-19 fights. Let's not politicize COVID-19 government to political parties. So far, I don't think we're politicizing it, are we? The Ghanaian Times newspaper, front page. National House of Chiefs join fight against coronavirus. President grants amnesty to 808 convicts. Government engages political parties over COVID-19. Ghana's COVID-19 cases climb up to 132. No COVID-19 lockdown yet. President allays fears. On the back page, Ho Central Prison shuts gates to new prisoners. And Ghana Water assures Upper West Region residents of constant water supply. Let's do the Daily Dispatch. Front page of the Daily Dispatch, 59% of 132 COVID-19 patients were part of mandatory quarantine. True story of a Ghanaian nurse in US who recovered from COVID-19, also being told in the paper today. So, you know, you can catch up. There's an announcement, dear readers, in view of the possibility of some sort of lockdown next week. The Daily Dispatch will be off the newsstands for a few days. Okay. The Daily Statesman, front page of the Daily Statesman, Information Minister cautions against politicization of COVID-19. Let's consider the poor. President reacts to calls for lockdown of country over COVID-19. And leaders must face their challenges and solve them, Ken Oforiatta declares. Roland?
Well, let's go to the Daily Guide. Has on the front page, woman arrested with fake dollars, 2 Nigerian steel government cars. Nana set 808 prisoners free. We do have also NAPO offers COVID-19 suggestions, but the main story, fear and panic as COVID-19 grips 132. Now, government also considers a lockdown. The decision is whether we need a full one or a decision on the full lockdown or a partial one is where we have to go. And on the back page, is still related to COVID-19 or coronavirus. And the word is there on the back page of the Daily Guide. Coronavirus is scary. Kwadwo Asamoah admits he plays for Inter Milan. He's in the epicenter in Europe, okay? And he knows what he's talking about. We've all seen the pictures, the videos, the coverage as they are, okay? And then we also do have Liverpool, betrayal, shock, Manchester City. And the story reads that Manchester City have been left shocked by Liverpool's involvement in a group of clubs trying to stop a stay of their Champions League ban as they appeal, according to report. Now, City have been handed a 2-year ban from European competition after breaching financial fair play rules and have launched an appeal against that decision. We all do know the appeal they've launched. Also, on the back page of the Daily Guide, we do have Manchester United chase Partey to replace Matic. Oh, is that so? In Ghana newspaper. This one, it says the story is emanating from the Daily Star. If it was coming from the Guardian or or Manchester United website, I would have believed, but you never know. Anything can happen in the world these days. Doctor blames Atalanta Valencia game for Italy Spain COVID-19 rise. The cases have been just racking up in Spain as well. We'll give you full details as to what the local figures are and the world figures are. Across the world, the United States of America now is leading. It's now the epicenter of the disease worldwide.
Well, they say they are doing more testing, so obviously they've tested more than any other country.
Okay, so we have cap fines Ghana 10,000 Ghana cedis for Stars Bafana pitch invasion. That story is also there. And okay, now let's go to the Business and Financial Times. Has on the front page, lockdown would leave us with no economy to run, and that story is on page 3, and it's the reality of what we face. And it's not only Ghana, it's the world. 60% of our budget, the one that is read to you by the finance minister, estimatedly, is funded from donor sources, grants, you know, loans, bonds, you know, from the capital markets, wherever we can get the financial markets.
Is this exposing our real size?
Yes, but we're not peculiar in this situation. It's a third world, if I still have to use that imperialistic term.
It's a developing country.
Okay.
It's a developing
country.
Yeah.
Developing
but I'm not sure we are the only developing country that has considered either a lockdown or a partial lockdown
not at all,
kind
not
of
at
thing.
all, not at all. I think that we're considering this decision early because if we're inundated, we know we cannot take care of the cases when they come in. Also on the front page of the Business and Financial Times, Oscar Yaudo makes recommendations for stimulus package. And it says entrepreneur, philanthropist, and social activist currently based in Abuja, Nigeria. Has businesses in Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Benin, France, I believe Italy as well. So we have Republican Bank also cushioning customers. What the bank is doing is deferring their loan payment and offering other concessions. Okay, so it just means they'll restructure your interest payments levels. That's all, but you still pay. So don't worry. Yeah, you're only deferring your debt payments.
Yeah, still counts. Let's do myjoyonline.com and then we'll quickly do the BBC where we'll give you a wrap of what's happening in the US and then in South Africa, most especially in South Africa. But let's tell you what's happening on our page, myjoyonline.com. Travelers in mandatory quarantine make up more than half of Ghana's coronavirus cases. Ghana records first coronavirus recovery. And then no lockdown for now. Discussions ongoing. Akufo-Addo tells TUC over coronavirus spread. US surpasses China with most coronavirus cases worldwide. Ghana's coronavirus case load now in triple digits. Expert outlined 4 things government should consider before declaring a lockdown. So that's a conversation that we will be having heavily here on our show this morning, even as we also tell you about the disinfection exercise in markets in Kumasi today. We will be talking about the possible impacts of a lockdown, no lockdown. That discussion is here on the AM show. All right, minority backs call for nationwide lockdown in response to coronavirus pandemic, but mixed reactions greet possible lockdown. Let's do the BBC. We will make way for sport. We'll come back after sport and discuss the issues and tell you the real human interest stories. Sometimes when we discuss some of the issues, we're thinking about it. If you put your personal self into it, you might not appreciate the real picture. So we'll take the microphones to very ordinary Ghanaians. When we say citizens, any kind of citizen, any kind of person who makes up Ghana, if you like, and then we will tell you what they've also been saying about a possible lockdown. So we, appreciate all the issues. Let's do the BBC. Tanzania president says virus won't stop elections. It's interesting, when we're trying to deal with the virus, like this is what we are faced with. Some people are thinking about elections. If you don't fight this virus, how do you hold elections? Okay, but I thought we'll do a wrap. So let's talk about South Africa, for instance. And this is what somebody has described the situation in South Africa. It's actually the first time since South Africa became a democracy in 1994 that a president has stripped away the most basic freedoms to citizens. And we're talking about the freedom to walk, to shop, to socialize, and to congregate for prayer without hindrance. There's a lot associated with a lockdown. For instance, let's go to the main BBC page, Fred. Take us to the main BBC page. All the headlines are there. Let's quickly run through and also tell you about the U.S. The U.S. now has more confirmed cases of coronavirus than any other country, with more than 85,500 positive tests, according to the latest figures collated by Johns Hopkins University. The U.S. has overtaken China and Italy, but with almost 1,300 COVID-19 related fatalities, the U.S. death toll lags behind China and Italy. So that's that headline. I just read a bit of the details for you. All right. So the almost every news story now has to do with coronavirus. The scariest thing is if it spreads in the camps. That's also one of the things that the UN has been taking a look at and given some advisories on. U.S. employment claims hits record. Fred, can we just click on this story and share a bit of details? The U.S. unemployment claims. This is unbelievably shocking. And to think that there are many people who fall into this category who came forward just on day one. Charlie, we call ourselves developing countries, but I don't want to say it ain't so bad. I mean, we don't have data, so we can't say. But the number of Americans filing for unemployment has surged to a record high as the economy goes into lockdown due to the coronavirus pandemic. So nearly 3.3 million people registered to claim jobless benefits for the week ended 21 March, according to Department of Labor data. That is nearly 5 times more than the previous record of 695,000 set in 1982. The rush overwhelmed many state offices handling the claims and signaled an abrupt end to a decade of expansion. So the shift comes as officials in states across the country close restaurants, bars, cinemas, hotels, and gyms in an effort to slow the spread of the virus. If it happened to us, where would you go and make a claim? All right, so that's a story that's even shocking economists. They didn't think that they had 3.3 million people coming forward.
All right, we told you. Now, the exercise that took place in Accra, the disinfection exercise put together by the Ministry for Local Government and Rural Development in collaboration with Zoom Lion Ghana and the rest of its subsidiaries in the Just Bond Group and allied companies that also want to support government in this initiative. It's also taking place in Kumasi. Erastus Asaridonko will give us a live feed, but in the meantime, we want to have this interaction with him on phone. And Erastus, good morning to you. What is the situation on ground?
The Central Market, Asapo area, and one Zoom Lion spraying truck has been assigned to this place. We have other teams divided, scattered all across Kumasi. So we have, for example, Asokore Mampo, the team has moved already. Menchia, Swame, Amakom, Forikrum, Asokwa. So we are currently at the Central Market where just a distance in front of me, the spraying truck is doing spraying both lanes. So as it goes, it sprays the sidewalks as well. I must say the streets are very empty this morning. No shops are open, but there are a few recalcitrant ones who have brought their stands. Just a short while ago, I saw a liquor joint selling alcoholic beverages by the side. And when he saw the team, he's now moving his things over. There's a gentleman who is also by the roadside. I don't know what he sells, but try to find our boss. What do you do here?
Blessed morning, Rastafari.
You did not know that they would do this exercise here. You're not supposed to be here.
I must know, and I'm aware of this, and I support this.
Why are you here?
This is why I stay. This is why I work. So it's like I'm supporting it. That's why you see me bringing all my stuff out.
I can see that they sprayed chemicals all over your things. And you are yourself. You are covered with the chemical. You're not bothered about it.
Yeah, man. You see, that is it. What do I have? I have no choice. But I support it. So whatever being the case, we support it. Yeah. Even though my things have been sprayed, but
you're not bothered that the health issue, the health hazard, it poses to your health itself.
Yeah, for the sake of health, myself, I support it. I'm not bothered about it at all. For good cause, you know this. Yeah.
Well, Mama V, you heard the guy. There are few of such people who are by the roadside watching some of the transport stations who are standing by the side of the road watching what is going on. Some of them are waiting to get the spraying done so they can open their shops. So that is the general scene here at the Central Market.
Before we let you go, though, what is the level of resources that have been marshaled for this exercise, knowing how vast Kumasi and the capital is?
I must say it's massive. I could count about 10 spraying trucks, Zoom Lion trucks. I could also count a number of spraying gangs that have been assembled at the Jubilee Park when we were there a short while ago. We have various teams across all the districts, starting from Ejiso to Asokore Mampong. All the peripheries have teams as well. There were bus loads, I could count about 10 VIP buses bringing in spraying teams all across Kumasi. So I must say, each district has its own team, has its own track, and they are moving out.
Well, thank you, Erastus Asaridonko. We'll come back to you and we'll get all the latest live on video. But in the meantime, Amavi.
This exercise is affecting some 286 markets in the Ashanti regional capital. So we'll bring you more pictures and videos of what Erastus described right there after sports. We have to bring you sport. Benedict is here with some details. And I think what is most emotional and touching, the Arsenal manager has fully recovered from COVID-19. But he shares his story, how he was unable to hack the people that he loves. And he's telling us some of the real things that happens around this period because of COVID-19. Please stay for sports. We'll come back and tell you what's happening in Kumasi with the disinfection exercise, and also lockdown or not, what are the implications?